Destiny Carter came to Park Tower every single day after school. 15 years old. Sophomore at Jefferson High. Invisible. She wasn't supposed to be here. Not officially. But her grandmother, Mabel Carter, had been cleaning this building for 19 years. And lately, Grandma's arthritis made everything harder. Harder to push the heavy carts. Harder to reach the high shelves. Harder to do the job that kept food on their table and a roof over their heads. So Destiny came. Every afternoon. Helped finish the routes. Made sure the old woman didn't collapse. Made sure they didn't lose everything. Nobody noticed her. Nobody cared. To the executives in expensive suits, she was background noise. To the security guards with their earpieces and attitudes, she was furniture that happened to move. Just another black girl from the wrong neighborhood. Invisible. But here's the thing about invisible people. They see everything. Destiny had learned that from her grandmother. Baby girl, when folks don't see you, they forget to hide things. That's your superpower. Use it. She'd seen plenty in 8 months. Affairs. Drug deals. Bribes changing hands in parking garages. She never said anything. Wasn't her business. But tonight was different. The building's owner, Min-jun Park. She'd seen him exactly 4 times since she started coming here. Korean. Late 30s. Face like it was carved from stone. The kind of handsome that made you nervous instead of excited. Cold. Powerful. Dangerous. His security team treated him like a king. 6 guards, rotating shifts, always watching, always whispering, always acting like the rest of the world didn't exist. At 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday night, Destiny was waiting for her grandmother to finish the executive bathroom on floor 32. Bored. Tired. Ready to go home. Then she heard voices from the supply closet. 2 men. Door cracked open just enough for words to slip through. The van's ready. When he steps inside, it's over. Destiny's feet stopped moving. Her breath caught. What if he fights? That's what the needle's for. 30 seconds, he's out cold. We drive him to the warehouse. Hand him to Kozlov's people. $3 million. Can you even believe that? $3 million for one man. Laughter. Cold. Professional. The kind of laugh that comes from men who've done terrible things before. Destiny's blood turned to ice. She knew that voice. Marcus. Head of security. The man Min-jun Park trusted with his life. Her eyes found the clock on the wall. 11:48 p.m. Min-jun Park left this building every night at exactly midnight. Same time. Same van. Same routine. 12 minutes. She had 12 minutes to warn a man who'd never seen her face. 12 minutes to stop something evil. And she was 15 years old with nothing but worn-out sneakers and her grandmother's voice in her head. What could she possibly do? Drop a heart if you're already stressed. Destiny is 15 years old. She helps her elderly grandmother clean offices after school just to keep food on the table. And she just overheard the head of security planning to kidnap his own boss for $3 million. She's a child. She's invisible. And she has 12 minutes to save a man who doesn't even know she exists. If you love stories about courage, about young black women who refuse to stay silent when they see wrong, about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, subscribe to Korean Mafia Tales right now and hit that notification bell. This story is about to take you on an emotional 30-minute journey. You're going to feel tension. You're going to feel fear. And you're going to feel something powerful when you see what this girl is capable of. Now let's get back to Destiny. The clock is ticking. 24 minutes earlier, Min-jun Park stood in his penthouse office, surrounded by documents that could reshape economies. 38 years old. Self-made. Ruthless when the situation required it. Which was often. He'd built everything from nothing. A scholarship kid from Busan who grew up hungry. Who learned early that the world didn't give you anything. You took it. You fought for it. You made yourself so powerful that nobody could ever hurt you again. Now he owned this building. Owned a dozen more like it. Owned politicians, judges, shipping routes that moved things nobody talked about in polite company. People whispered his name with fear. Good. Fear was useful. His phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Van ready for midnight departure. Route confirmed. Min-jun checked his watch. 11:37 p.m. 23 minutes until he walked out of this building, climbed into that van, and went home to his empty penthouse. Same routine. Every night. Predictability meant control. His assistant James appeared in the doorway. Young. Eager. Annoying. Sir, the Singapore contracts need your. Email them. But the deadline. Did I stutter? James retreated like he'd been slapped. Min-jun didn't watch him go. He was already looking at the next document. The next deal. The next piece of an empire that never stopped demanding his attention. 22 minutes until departure. He had no idea what was waiting for him. 3 floors down, Destiny pushed her grandmother's cart through the executive hallway. Her shoulders ached. Her feet throbbed. She'd been at school since 7 a.m., then came straight here after the final bell. No rest. No breaks. Just work. She thought about the things she couldn't fix. Rent was due in 6 days. Short by $200. Again. Her little brother needed new shoes. The Sauls were held together with duct tape and prayers. Mama was working double shifts at the hospital. Hadn't been home in 3 days. And Grandma's medication cost $400 a month. Money they didn't have. 15 years old, and Destiny already knew exactly how much everything cost. She knew the weight of envelopes that said final notice. Knew the sound of her grandmother crying quietly in the bathroom when she thought nobody could hear. Knew the taste of anxiety that came with watching the numbers never add up. But she didn't complain. Complaining didn't pay bills. So she emptied trash cans, wiped down desks, pushed the cart that was too heavy for her grandmother's hands. Baby girl. She turned. Grandma Mabel shuffled toward her, leaning hard on her own cart. 71 years old. Hands swollen. Back bent. Still working because stopping meant dying. You almost done with 32? Just the conference room left, Grandma. Good. Good. Mabel's face was tired, but her eyes were soft. What would I do without you? Lose this job, Destiny thought. And then we'd lose everything. But she just smiled. You'd figure it out. You always do. Mom. Grandma didn't believe it either. I'ma finish the bathrooms on 34. Meet me at the elevator at midnight here. Yes, ma'am. Destiny watched her grandmother shuffle away. Each step a small battle against a body that had worked too hard for too many years. One day she promised herself. One day I'll get us out of this. But one day felt very far away. Right now she needed cleaning solution from the supply closet. She pushed her cart down the hallway. And that's when she heard them. 2 voices. Inside the supply closet. Door cracked open just wide enough. Destiny's instincts screamed at her to keep walking. Mind your business. Stay invisible. But her feet stopped. Her ears tuned in. Her grandmother's training kicked in without permission. When folks don't see you, they forget to hide things. Marcus confirmed everything. A man's voice, low and confident. When Park gets in the van, Thomas hits him with the sedative. Full dose. He'll be unconscious in 30 seconds. Then what? We drive. Warehouse is 40 minutes out. Kozlov's people take him from there. And if something goes wrong? Nothing goes wrong. We've been planning this for 2 months. Every detail locked. By the time anyone realizes he's missing, we're gone. New identities. New countries. $3 million split 6 ways. What about witnesses? What witnesses? The building's empty. Cleaning crew don't see nothing. What about the janitor's granddaughter? That kid's been in the hallway all night. Destiny's heart stopped. They're talking about me. The girl. Laughter. Cold and cruel. Please. She don't understand anything. Just another little ghetto girl pushing a cart. Probably can't even read. More laughter. These people don't pay attention to nothing that ain't their business. Trust me. She's too dumb to be a problem. Too dumb. Ghetto girl. These people. The words hit her like fists. She'd heard them before. From teachers who didn't think she belonged in honors classes. From store security who followed her like she was about to steal something. From a world that looked at her skin, her clothes, her address, and decided she was nothing. But she wasn't nothing. And she definitely wasn't dumb. Her mind raced, piecing together what she'd heard. A van. A sedative. A warehouse. Someone named Kozlov paying $3 million for Min-jun Park. This wasn't a robbery. This was a kidnapping. Organized. Professional. And it was happening in 12 minutes. Destiny backed away from the door. Slow. Silent. The way you learn to move when you grew up in a neighborhood where wrong sounds brought wrong attention. 11:48 p.m. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. The lessons she'd learned sitting at Mabel Carter's kitchen table. Girl, when you see wrong, you open your mouth. Period. Silence ain't neutral. Silence picks a side. And you don't ever want to be on the side of evil just 'cause speaking up is scary. Grandma Mabel had marched in Montgomery, sat at lunch counters in Birmingham, faced down dogs and fire hoses and men who wanted her dead. She never stayed silent. And neither could Destiny. 11 minutes. Destiny's mind worked through options. Call 911? And say what? Hello, I'm a 15-year-old girl and I overheard some guards talking about kidnapping? They'd put her on hold. Ask for an adult. Think she was pranking. By the time anyone believed her, Min-jun Park would be gone. Find another guard? They were all compromised. 6 guards, the man said. All of them in on it. Tell her grandmother? Grandma would try to help. Would put herself in danger. Might get hurt. Might get killed. No, not an option. Run home? Pretend she never heard anything? Let whatever happened happen? Her stomach turned at the thought. A man was about to be kidnapped. Handed over to people who'd paid $3 million for him alive. Which meant they wanted him alive for a reason. And those reasons were never good. She could walk away. Stay invisible. Stay safe. But she'd have to live with knowing. Every single day. Knowing she could have done something. Knowing she chose not to. Silence picks a side. Destiny looked at the elevator. Looked at the clock. 11:50 p.m. Made a decision. The executive elevator required a keycard she didn't have. The stairs were locked after 10 p.m. Security was everywhere and every single guard was in on the plan. But Destiny had been invisible in this building for 8 months. She knew its secrets better than the people who owned it. The service elevator. Old. Loud. Slow. Used for moving equipment and furniture. Forgotten by almost everyone. But it went all the way to the roof. And the roof connected to the penthouse terrace. Destiny ran. Her worn sneakers slapped against marble floors. Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her throat. She reached the service elevator. Jammed the button. Waited. The machinery groaned. Ancient gears grinding to life. Come on. Come on. 11:51 p.m. The doors opened. She threw herself inside. Pressed the button for the roof. The elevator lurched upward. Painfully slow. Every second stretching into forever. Destiny pressed her back against the cold metal wall. Tried to control her breathing. What are you doing? The thought screamed through her panic. You're 15. You're nobody. He doesn't know you exist. He'll probably call security the second he sees you. The same security that's trying to kidnap him. Her hands were shaking. Actually shaking. She'd never been this scared in her life. But she thought about her grandmother. 71 years old and still fighting. Still pushing through pain. Still showing up. She thought about her mother. Working back-to-back shifts because giving up wasn't in her vocabulary. She thought about every person who'd ever called her invisible. Ignored. Nothing. Maybe I am nothing to them. But I'm not nothing to me. The elevator groaned higher. 11:53 p.m. 7 minutes. The doors opened onto cold wind and darkness. Destiny gasped as the night air hit her face. Sharp. Biting. Nothing like the climate-controlled warmth of the hallways below. She stepped onto the roof. Los Angeles sprawled beneath her. A million lights stretching to the horizon. Cars moving like tiny glowing ants on distant highways. A whole city full of people living their lives. Completely unaware of what was happening 41 floors above them. The wind cut through her thin jacket. She hadn't dressed for this. Hadn't planned for rooftops in desperation. Focus. Move. The penthouse terrace was on the east side. Maybe 50 yards across the roof. Past air conditioning units the size of cars. Past satellite dishes and maintenance equipment. She ran. Her feet pounded concrete. Her lungs burned with cold air. Her mind kept screaming at her to stop, turn around, go back. She didn't stop. 40 yards. 30. 20. And then she saw him. Min-jun Park. Standing by the window of his office, looking out at the city like he owned every light he could see. Alone. 11:54 p.m. 6 minutes. Destiny pressed herself against the wall beside the glass doors. Tried to catch her breath. Tried to think. If she knocked, he'd call security. If she broke the glass, alarms would go off. Guards would come. She had to make him listen before he could react. Speak clear. Speak fast. Don't give fear time to stop you. Grandma's words. Destiny took a breath. Felt her heart hammering against her ribs. Felt the fear trying to choke her. And knocked on the glass. Min-jun spun toward the sound. His hand moved before his brain caught up. Weapon drawn. Safety off. Aimed at the glass door. A girl stood on his terrace. Black. Young. 15, maybe 16. Wearing worn jeans and a faded jacket that wasn't nearly warm enough for a rooftop in November. Her hands were up. Palms out. The universal gesture of please don't shoot me. But she wasn't backing away. Wasn't crying. Wasn't cowering. She was looking straight at him. Don't get in the van. Her voice came through the glass. Clear despite her obvious fear. Your guards are selling you to someone named Kozlov. Marcus planned it. All of them are in on it. They've got a sedative, they're going to knock you out the second you get inside. You have 6 minutes. Min-jun's weapon didn't waver. Every instinct screamed trap. This was exactly the kind of distraction an enemy would use. Get him focused on a decoy while the real attack came from behind. But something about her made him hesitate. Her eyes. She wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid for him. And there was a difference. A big one. Who are you? His voice was ice. Destiny Carter. My grandma cleans this building. I help her after school. I was getting cleaning supplies when I heard them talking in the closet. Marcus and one of the other guards. They said there's a sedative in the van. They're taking you to a warehouse. Someone named Kozlov is paying $3 million. Stop. She stopped. Why should I believe a child? The word landed between them. Child. Dismissive. The same tone she'd heard her whole life. Something flashed in her eyes. Not fear. Anger. Because I'm the only person in this building trying to save your life. Everyone else is waiting to collect their money. Silence stretched between them. Min-jun studied her. The worn clothes. The determination in her jaw. The way she held her ground even with a weapon pointed at her chest. She was either an incredibly skilled operative or exactly what she appeared to be. How did you get up here? Service elevator. Your security has a blind spot. Despite everything, he almost smiled. Almost. Come inside, he said, lowering the weapon slightly. Slowly. Destiny stepped through the door. Felt the warmth of the office wrap around her like a blanket. Up close, Min-jun Park was even more intimidating. Taller than she'd realized. Eyes that seemed to see everything and reveal nothing. But she didn't back down. Tell me exactly what you heard, he ordered. Word for word. Destiny closed her eyes. Let the memory replay. The first man said. Marcus confirmed everything. When Park gets in the van, Thomas hits him with the sedative. Full dose. He'll be unconscious in 30 seconds. She opened her eyes. Kept going. The second man asked what happens after. The first one said they drive to a warehouse. 40 minutes out. Someone named Kozlov's people take you from there. Min-jun's expression didn't change. But something shifted in his stance. They said they've been planning for 2 months. Every detail locked. $3 million split 6 ways. New identities. New countries. By the time anyone realizes you're missing. She trailed off. They'll be gone, Min-jun finished quietly. Yes, sir. He was silent for a long moment. Kozlov. Viktor Kozlov. Russian oligarch with connections to the worst people on 3 continents. They'd been rivals for a decade. Enemies for longer. $3 million for a live capture made sense. Dead men couldn't suffer. Dead men couldn't give up information. Dead men couldn't be used as leverage. But his security team? Marcus had been with him for 3 years. Had taken a bullet for him in Singapore. Had proven his loyalty 100 times over. Or so Min-jun had believed. He looked at the girl standing in his office. 15 years old. No connections to his world. No reason to lie. Nothing to gain. She'd climbed to a rooftop, confronted a stranger with a gun, risked everything to deliver a warning. Either she was telling the truth, or she was the most sophisticated plant he'd ever encountered. There was one way to find out. "Stay here," he said. He pulled out his phone, dialed a number. "Marcus, come up to my office. Now. Alone. Something's happened." Pause on the other end. Then, "Yes, sir. On my way." Min-jun ended the call. Looked at Destiny. If he comes in nervous, hand near his weapon, eyes checking the room, we'll know. And if I'm wrong? His gaze was cold. Then we have a different kind of problem. One that involves you specifically. Destiny's stomach dropped, but she lifted her chin. "I'm not wrong." The elevator chimed. Destiny's breath caught. Her heart pounded so loud she was sure it echoed off the walls. Min-jun positioned himself behind his desk, weapon hidden in his lap, eyes on the door. He pointed to a corner. "Stand there." Visible but away from the line of fire. She moved, pressed her back against the wall, wished she could disappear into it. The door opened. Marcus walked in. Tall, built like a linebacker. Expensive suit, confident stride. Everything about him said professional. Then he saw Destiny, and his mask slipped. It was fast, just a fraction of a second, but Min-jun caught it. Recognition, confusion, and underneath both fear. "Sir." Marcus's voice was controlled, but there was a new tightness to it. "What's going on? Why is there a kid in your office?" "This is Miss Carter. She works in the building with her grandmother." Marcus's eyes flicked to Destiny, flicked away. Too fast. "Okay, what does that have to do with?" "She tells an interesting story." "A story?" Marcus forced a laugh. It didn't reach his eyes. "Sir, we need to leave." "The schedule." "The schedule can wait." Something changed in the room. The air got heavier, colder. Marcus's hand moved. Subtle, professional, drifting toward his hip. "I don't understand what's happening here." "Then let me explain." Min-jun stood slowly. "Miss Carter says she heard a conversation in the supply closet. Two men discussing a van, a sedative, a warehouse, and someone named Kozlov." The color drained from Marcus's face. Destiny watched it happen. Watched 3 years of trust shatter in real time. "Sir, whatever this girl told you." $3 million, Min-jun interrupted. Voice quiet. "Deadly. That's what I'm worth to you?" "That's not, I didn't. You took a bullet for me in Singapore." "Sir, I trusted you with my life. Please let me explain." "Then explain." Marcus's jaw worked. His hand was fully at his hip now. Destiny could see the outline of his weapon beneath his jacket. "It wasn't personal," Marcus finally said. "You have to understand. $3 million. That kind of money changes everything. My family, my kids. Your family. You don't know what it's like. Working for years. Watching you spend more on a single suit than I make in a month. We're loyal, we're disposable, we're nothing to you. So you sold me. I made a business decision." The words hung in the air. Destiny couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. This felt like watching a bomb countdown. A business decision. Min-jun's voice was ice. "Interesting." Marcus's hand closed around his weapon. "Don't." Min-jun's voice cracked like a whip. "Sir, I'm sorry it had to be this way." Marcus drew his gun. "But Kozlov's money is already wired. And I'm not going to prison for." He never finished the sentence. Min-jun moved. Fast. Faster than Destiny's eyes could track. One moment Marcus was raising his weapon. The next, Min-jun was across the desk, inside Marcus's reach, grabbing his wrist. A twist. Crack. A scream. The gun clattered to the floor. Marcus collapsed to his knees, clutching his shattered wrist. "Who else?" Min-jun's voice was terrifyingly calm. "I won't." Min-jun pressed his thumb into the broken joint. Marcus screamed again. "Thomas. Rodriguez. Kim. Park. Chin. All of us. We're all in on it. 6 guards. My entire team." "Yes. Yes. Please." Min-jun released him. Stepped back. Made a phone call. "Yuki. Park Tower. Now. Full team. 6 compromised guards. Building lockdown. He ended the call. Looked down at Marcus still writhing on the floor. You're right about one thing. It wasn't personal. Min-jun's voice was empty. Just business. He turned to Destiny. Thank you. You saved my life. She was shaking. Actually shaking. Her legs felt like they might give out. I just told you what I heard. No. His eyes held hers. You climbed to a rooftop. Confronted a stranger who could have killed you. Refused to stay quiet when staying quiet would have been safer. He paused. That's not nothing. That's everything. Drop a heart if that confrontation had you holding your breath. Destiny stood in that room. 15 years old. Watching a betrayal unfold that almost ended a man's life. She saw Marcus confess. Saw Min-jun's trust shatter. Saw exactly what her courage had prevented. If this story has you in your feelings, subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell. And comment below. Have you ever had to speak truth when everyone else was staying quiet? Have you ever been the only one who knew something was wrong? Korean Mafia tales exist to tell stories about people like Destiny. People who refuse to be invisible. People who make impossible choices. People who prove that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about acting when you're terrified. Now let's see what happens next. The countdown is over. But the story is just beginning. The next 2 hours felt like a dream. Police. Federal agents. A private security team that moved through the building like ghosts in expensive suits. Marcus and the other 5 guards were detained one by one. Destiny watched them being let out in handcuffs. Watched the realization hit their faces that $3 million had bought them nothing but prison cells. The van in the parking garage was searched. They found sedatives. Zip ties. A GPS tracker that would have led straight to Kozlov's people. A forensic team in hazmat suits took samples, photographs, evidence. Through all of it, Destiny sat in a conference room on the 35th floor. Blanket around her shoulders. Cup of hot chocolate someone had placed in her hands. She couldn't stop shaking. Agents came in with questions. Calm voices. Patient faces. How did you know to go to the roof? What exactly did you hear? Weren't you scared? She answered everything. Told the truth. Again and again. Yes, she was terrified. Yes, she almost ran away. Yes, she didn't think anyone would believe her. But she couldn't just let it happen. She couldn't be silent. At 2:15 a.m. the door opened. Her grandmother stood there. Mabel Carter. 71 years old. House shoes still on because nobody had told her to change. Face wet with tears. Baby girl. She crossed the room in 3 steps and wrapped Destiny in a hug so tight it hurt. What were you thinking? You could have been killed. You could have. Grandma. You climbed to a rooftop? You confronted a man with a gun? You. Grandma, I couldn't let them. I know. Mabel pulled back. Cupped Destiny's face in hands that had worked hard for 7 decades. I know you couldn't. Because I raised you. And I raised you right. Tears spilled down the old woman's cheeks. But you scared me half to death, you understand? Half to death. I'm sorry. No, you ain't. Mabel laughed through her tears. And you shouldn't be. You did what was right. That's what Carters do. She pulled Destiny close again. Behind them the door opened. Min-jun Park walked in. Mabel turned. Wiped her eyes. Straightened her spine. 71 years old. And she looked at one of the most powerful men in California without an ounce of fear. Mr. Park. Mrs. Carter. My granddaughter tells me she saved your life tonight. She did. And you were gonna just get in that van? Without checking anything? Without. Grandma. Destiny interrupted. Don't. But Min-jun raised a hand. She's right. I trusted the wrong people. I didn't see the threat right in front of me. He looked at Destiny. Your granddaughter saw what I couldn't. Because she was paying attention when everyone else assumed she was invisible. Mabel's eyes softened. Just slightly. That's my girl. Sees everything. Always has. I'm beginning to understand that. Silence stretched between them. Then Min-jun spoke again. I owe your granddaughter a debt I can never fully repay. But I'd like to try. Destiny had never seen a room like this. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Furniture that cost more than their apartment's rent for a year. A desk that looked like it belonged in a museum. She sat in a leather chair, feeling small and out of place. Her grandmother sat beside her. Sunday best. Church hat. Looking like she was ready to negotiate terms with God himself. Min-jun sat across from them, folder in his hands. I've spent the last week thinking, he said, trying to figure out how to properly thank someone who saved my life. Mr. Park, Mabel started. Please, let me finish. He opened the folder. Your granddaughter works with you because you need help. Your arthritis makes the job difficult. But you can't retire because Social Security doesn't cover your bills. Mabel's jaw tightened. That's private information. I know, and I apologize for looking into it. But I needed to understand before I could help. He slid the first document across the desk. This is a retirement package. Full pension. Better than what you would have received if you'd worked in management for 30 years. Medical coverage for life. And he pulled out another sheet. A 3-bedroom apartment in a building I own. Good neighborhood. Safe streets. Paid in full. Mabel's hands trembled as she looked at the papers. We can't accept this. You can. And you will. His voice was firm but not unkind. Your granddaughter saved my life. The least I can do is make sure you don't spend your remaining years breaking your body for $12 an hour. Tears welled in Mabel's eyes. She tried to blink them back. Failed. Min-jun turned to Destiny. And for you. Another folder. Full scholarship to Jefferson Academy Prep. One of the best private schools in the state. Then whatever university you want, Harvard, Stanford, Yale. Wherever you can get in. And I'll make sure you have every resource to get in anywhere. Destiny stared at the papers. The words blurred. I don't understand, she whispered. I just told you what I heard. No. Min-jun leaned forward. You climbed to a rooftop. You confronted a stranger with a weapon. You refused to be silent when silence would have been so much easier. He paused. I've spent 20 years surrounded by yes men. People who tell me what I want to hear because they're afraid of me. Guards who smile to my face while planning to sell me to my enemies. His voice cracked. Just slightly. You had nothing to gain. Everything to lose. And you did it anyway. That's not just bravery. That's character. The kind I forgot existed. Destiny walked through the halls of Jefferson Academy Prep, feeling like an alien who'd landed on the wrong planet. The other students came from money. Old money. Tech money. Hollywood money. They had names like Madison and Brittany and Chad. They drove cars that cost more than Destiny's old apartment. They talked about summer homes and ski trips and islands their parents owned. Destiny came from Section 8 housing and grocery store coupons. She didn't fit. Everyone could see it. Nice shoes, a girl named Ashley said during lunch. Where'd you get them? Goodwill. Laughter from the table behind her. Destiny looked down at her sneakers. New. Paid for by Min-jun's generosity. Still the cheapest ones in the room. But she thought about her grandmother. 71 years old and still fighting. Still showing up. She thought about that rooftop. The fear that had tried to stop her. The choice she'd made anyway. If she could confront a man with a gun, she could survive mean girls with designer bags. Actually, Destiny said calmly, I got them from a man I saved from being kidnapped. What've you done lately? She walked away before Ashley could respond. That night, she called her grandmother. How's school, baby? Hard. Different. These kids are rich. Yeah. And they make you feel small? Sometimes. Mabel was quiet for a moment. Then she said, You climbed 41 floors to save a stranger's life. Don't let nobody make you feel small. You hear me? Nobody. Destiny smiled. Yes, ma'am. Min-jun started visiting once a month. First it was awkward. Formal. He'd sit in their new living room, accept a cup of tea from Mabel, and make stilted conversation about Destiny's grades. But somewhere around the third visit something shifted. Mabel started bossing him around. Telling him he worked too hard. That he needed to eat more. That his suit was nice but his tie was ugly. Min-jun took it. Actually seemed to enjoy it. Your grandmother reminds me of my mother, he told Destiny one evening. Stubborn. Opinionated. Impossible to argue with. Is that a compliment? The highest one. They started having dinner together. Once a week. Destiny would do her homework at the table, while Min-jun and Mabel argued about everything from politics to proper cornbread recipes. You don't put sugar in cornbread, Mabel insisted. My chef says. Your chef is wrong. Fire him. Destiny laughed until her stomach hurt. Somewhere along the way, the formal visits became something else. Something like family. You're different, Destiny told Min-jun one night after her grandmother had gone to bed. Different how? Warmer. Like you actually see people now. Instead of looking through them. He was quiet for a long moment. I spent 20 years building walls. Convincing myself that trust was weakness. That caring about people was dangerous. And now I think the walls were the danger. They kept me safe from enemies, but they also kept me blind to betrayal happening right in front of me. He looked at her. You saw what I couldn't see. Because you were paying attention. Because you cared about a stranger's life more than your own safety. I was just doing what Grandma taught me. Then she taught you something I spent decades never learning. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was bigger than Destiny expected. Photographers. Local news cameras. A crowd of people from the neighborhood she'd grown up in. The Mabel Carter Community Center. The sign hung over the entrance. Fresh paint. New windows. A building that used to be abandoned, now transformed into something alive. Grandma Mabel stood at the podium, crying too hard to give her speech. So Destiny stepped up instead. This center is named after my grandmother, she said into the microphone. Because she's the one who taught me that we lift as we climb. That when you have a chance to help others, you take it. That staying silent when you see wrong isn't being peaceful. It's being complicit. She looked out at the crowd. Saw kids from her old block. Single mothers who worked 3 jobs. Elderly people who'd been forgotten by a city that didn't care. This center is for all of you. After-school programs. Job training. Free meals. A safe place where somebody sees you. Her voice cracked. Because I know what it feels like to be invisible. And nobody should have to feel that way. Applause. Real applause. From people who understood. After the ceremony, Min-jun found her standing alone, looking at the reading room where kids were already exploring the shelves. You did good, he said. You built this. Not me. You inspired it. Every brick. Every book. Every dollar I spent. It was because of what you showed me. What I showed you. That invisible people aren't invisible. We just refuse to see them. He paused. I'm trying to stop refusing. You're getting better at it. I have a good teacher. The letter came on a Tuesday. Destiny opened it alone in her room. Read the words 3 times before they became real. Dear Miss Carter, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted to Harvard University. She screamed. Ran down the hall. Slammed into her grandmother's room. Grandma! Grandma! Mabel jumped up from her prayer corner, clutching her chest. Girl, what is wrong with you? I got in. Got in where? Harvard. Silence. Then Mabel Carter, 72 years old, survivor of Jim Crow, marcher with Dr. King, woman who had worked her hands raw for 6 decades, collapsed onto her bed and sobbed. That night they celebrated. Destiny, her grandmother, her mother, who'd taken the night off for the first time in months, her little brother Marcus Jr., and Min-jun, who showed up with champagne for the adults and sparkling cider for the kids, who made a toast that went on too long, who looked at Destiny like she was the most important person in the room. I want to say something, he said, raising his glass. Everyone quieted. 2 years ago, I was the most powerful person in this city, and the loneliest man on the planet. I trusted nobody, cared about nothing, walked past people like they weren't even there. He looked at Destiny. Then a 15-year-old girl climbed to my rooftop and knocked on my window. She didn't have a weapon, didn't have money, didn't have anything except courage and her grandmother's voice telling her that silence wasn't an option. His voice broke. She saved my life that night. But more than that, she changed it. She showed me that people were worth caring about. That trust wasn't weakness. That the smallest, most invisible person in the room might be the only one telling the truth. He raised his glass higher. To Destiny Carter. The bravest person I've ever known. And the reason I became someone worth knowing. They drank. Mabel wiped her eyes. Destiny's mother squeezed her daughter's hand. And Destiny realized that the life she'd dreamed about, the one where things got better, where her family was safe, where she could become something, wasn't a dream anymore. It was real. Because she'd refused to be invisible. Because she'd climbed a rooftop. Because she'd knocked on a stranger's window and demanded to be heard. The auditorium was packed. Destiny adjusted her cap. Looked out at the sea of faces. 4 years at Harvard. Law degree. Top of her class. And in the front row, her grandmother, 76 now and still bossing everyone around. Her mother, finally retired, finally rested. Her brother Marcus Jr., sophomore at Stanford on a full scholarship. And Min-jun Park. Gray at his temples now. Softer around the eyes. He'd flown in from Seoul for this. Rearranged 100 meetings. Because some things mattered more than business. Destiny Carter, the dean announced. Magna cum laude. Special recognition for community service. She crossed the stage. Shook hands. Accepted the diploma. Looked out at her family. Her grandmother was crying. Again. Always. But these were good tears. The best kind. After the ceremony, Min-jun found her in the crowd. Congratulations, counselor. Not a counselor yet. Still have to pass the bar. You will. And then. Destiny smiled. I'm going back home. South LA. Open a legal clinic in the community center. To help invisible people. To help them become visible. To fight for the ones nobody else fights for. Min-jun nodded slowly. You know, when you knocked on my window that night, I thought you were a threat. A distraction. Part of some trap I couldn't see. What do you think now? Now I think you were the only real thing that had happened to me in 20 years. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Destiny hugged him. Tight. The way she hugged her grandmother. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. No. His arms tightened around her. Thank you. For saving my life. And for teaching me how to live it. From invisible to unstoppable. Drop a heart if this story touched your soul. Destiny Carter was 15 years old, helping her grandmother push a cleaning cart through hallways where nobody saw her. She was dismissed as just another ghetto girl. Called dumb. Called nothing. And then she heard something she couldn't ignore. She climbed 41 floors. Knocked on a stranger's window. Saved a life. Changed a heart. Built a future she never imagined. What was your favorite moment? Was it the confrontation with Marcus? The rooftop scene? The community center naming? When she told off Ashley at school? The graduation? Comment below and tell me. I read every single response. Have you ever been invisible? Ever had to demand to be seen? Ever done something brave when everyone expected you to stay quiet? Share your story. Because every story matters. If Destiny's journey inspired you, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit the bell so you never miss a story. Korean Mafia Tales brings you stories about courage, about transformation, about Black women who refuse to stay silent, about powerful men who learn to change, about the moment when someone decides that fear won't win. We post every single week. Every story designed to make you feel something. Subscribe now. Join this family. Because sometimes a 15-year-old girl with worn-out sneakers and her grandmother's courage can change everything. Sometimes the smallest voice carries the biggest truth. And sometimes being invisible is just the beginning of becoming unforgettable. See you in the next one.